Hey, Drew Dixon from Love Thy Nerd here with Tomas Sala. Did I say it right?
Yeah, perfect.
Cool. And we were just chatting about your history in games. We're here looking at the Falconeer, but you've worked in video games for 18 years, you told me, right?
Yeah. That started, but we were from the Netherlands, so there wasn't much of a game industry back in 2001. So we did lots of work for hire. We even made games for advertising and education. I made mods. I made
Skyrim mod.
I made a Skyrim mod called Moonpath to Elsewhere. A lot of people enjoyed that. It was my first foray in doing something by myself.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun to do, and that inspired me to, seek out more work for myself. Then I did I started on an indie game called Oberon's Court, which I never finished. It was a strategy game, way too complex for by yourself. But that led into the Falconeer eventually.
And so this is kind of the first game that you've made that's like really your baby, like your thing.
Yeah, it's just me developing it. I do the art and the programming. I get assistance for the audio and then some help with the getting the English right, of course, not being a native English speaker. But yeah, it's my baby.
Yeah. And you're from the Netherlands, right?
Yeah.
And so tell me about the Falconeer. What makes it unique?
It's what makes it unique. It's a throwback to the flying games, which were really popular in the 90s. When I was young, I played a lot. We played, Crimson Skies, but also TIE Fighter, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Freelancer, Drakan before that. And these were games that I really enjoyed when I was young. And when I had the itch to make something for myself again, I thought I'll make something that harkens back to that era, which feels good, so that when you're building something by yourself and you're testing your game, you can feel if it's nice.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're making a strategy or an adventure game, if you've played something for the 10,000 times, you lose that sensation. Or even it'd be like a strategy game, you have to finish nearly every aspect before you can tell if it's good. And then you have to balance it. So if there's no story, it might be boring, but then the gameplay might be good. But with a flying game, you pick up the controller, and if something is off, like the frame rate is off, you'll immediately go, that's horrible.
Yeah.
So it has that instant feedback, and it's always enjoyable. The moment I play for hours every night just to test this thing. To test it, and I realize I can only do that if I enjoy doing it, and I still enjoying flying around, shooting stuff. So that's why I chose with this genre. And then being a Skyrim modder, I have this love for open world games and RPG and environmental storytelling, where I wanted to set it in an open world and not just like in Crimson Sky, do one mission, do the next mission, but fly offs, land somewhere, meet some new people. They'll give you an assignment, takes you somewhere completely different. That's the kind of game structure I like.
Yeah.
So that's.
Yeah. What do you hope players get out of it? Like, if you had to narrow it down to one thing that you hope players gain from their time playing your game, what would it be?
From the Falconeer, that's difficult. I think they will stay for the action and the high combat and the depth that has, and then that's what will draw them, and they'll stay for the lore and the world building. I hope, where that this world's really interesting. There's lots of mysteries, and there's lots of storytelling I'm trying to do. I'd like that to be successful, and people go, "Wow, I really love this world. I dig it. I want to be in it. I want to know what's going on."
So I noticed just in playing it for about 10 minutes, there's a lot of story, a lot of detail, a lot of thought that's gone into this game.
Yeah.
There's a lot here. How do you manage to do all this basically by yourself? Like, do you sleep at all?
I say it's 20 years of repressed creativity, but then it is. I don't know. It's coming out, and sometimes you make something and it's truly by yourself. And you said, if I have to work in a supermarket, I'm going to make this game. I'm done doing anything else, and it's just pouring out. There's lots of personal. I'll wake up. I'll have experience of read something, and I'll go. I need to put this in the game, and I'll go do it. And the fact that there's a lot of experience since 18 years of finishing games. That allows me then to filter that back in something that's actually functional, and it's not some crazy, feature creep thing that's never going to be released. And it's just coming out, and someone already said, well, what I like, you make smart choices. So there's lots of smart choices in how to create a dynamic world without having a team of 10 people. Well, setting it in an ocean world, which is always in motion, which has this mystery baked in. Those are the choices I enjoy making. I have a think, what would be good? Why do I do that? And it just whatever doesn't work doesn't make it into the game.
Yeah.
So
Last question: why do you make games? What drives you to do this?
that is a very complex question. I like to create things. So I'm a high energy guy. I'm driven to create. It's the only time I've got any sense of calm and enjoyment. Otherwise I'm just buzzing around.
Yeah, we noticed earlier.
Yeah, I'm quite a buzzing. Yeah, so I have ADD, so there's no. So I get it, but when I'm working, I'm fully focused, and things come out, and you create something. I get lost in that. So there's enjoyment there. And now that I'm older, I also sense that it's important that we can make games where you have a think about what you're creating, and you can have storytelling that's, how do you call it? That's about me or expressive about my life, but also the world we live in. That sounds really artistic, but it's having a little think and take the time. Well, why am I having an ocean world? How does that? What kind of symbolism does it bring to the game? And what's interesting about that? So yeah, that.
Yeah, great. Well, it's beautiful, and it looks really great, and it was really super fun to play. So thanks for showing it to me. And when can we expect to see this? Any idea?
In 2020. That's all I can say.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah.